Hey, what's good guys, it's Zach here with Android Police, and in this video we'll be taking a look at two of the best smartphones that you can get right now, the OnePlus 3T and the Samsung Galaxy S8. So we already know that both of these are great buys, but which one is better and which one should you pick up? Whenever we compare the 3T with any other high-end phone out there, the first thing that we think or talk about is its price tag. It's what makes this phone so intriguing, and it's usually what helps it hold its ground against premium flagships. It's the same story when compared to the S8. So the S8 is obviously the flashier of the two. I mean, just look at this screen. If you've seen any Samsung commercials lately, chances are it's been the one about this infinity display, giving you less to hold and more to touch, see, and interact with, filling up about 84% of the phone's body. It's bigger, taller, and sharper than the 3T's screen, as long as you set it to be so, because out of the box it is in fact set to 1080p. But it's no question it's the best looking smartphone display on the market. That does not mean the 3T's display is complete garbage. It has a very crisp and good looking 1080p AMOLED panel, which happens to be one of the best 1080p screens I've ever seen on a smartphone. It's very sharp. But the S8 continues its flashiness with a glass heavy design that feels amazing in the hand. The phone's curves on the back and polished 8mm frame make it super easy to handle. It's got the usual fast charging, IP68 dust and water resistance, expandable storage, all of which are nowhere to be found on the 3T, and it's got USB Type-C and a headphone jack, both of which can be found on the 3T. Double points for the headphone jack. Just like with the screen, the 3T's hardware is nothing to sneeze at. It's got one of the nicest, most solid metal unibody builds you can find, especially in its price range. But of course, the S8's back being glass will lead to the phone looking like this. And with the 3T's being aluminum, chances it'll just slip out of your hand. It's nothing a D-brand skin can't fix. Something like this is actually highly recommended because the back on the S8 is extremely easy to scratch. But the hardware on both is premium, sturdy, and absolutely fantastic. On the software side of things, both phones are running Nougat, which is the latest version of Android, and while the 3T sticks closer to stock Android in terms of look and feel, the S8 uses what Samsung's calling Samsung Experience. It's their skin on top of Android. If you're familiar with previous versions of this skin, also known as TouchWiz and Grace UX, you'll feel right at home here, complete with a cleaner, more refined UI, software navigation keys, a growing theme store, and these incredibly awesome Infinity Live wallpapers that I personally cannot get enough of. Samsung continues its skin lightening trend. However, if you're not a big fan of skins and you prefer something more simple and clean, the 3T has got you covered. This is pretty much the closest that you'll get to stock Android without it being stock Android. Oxygen OS is what we're looking at here. You've got some nice little tweaks here and there, things like the ability to switch between software and hardware capacitive navigation keys, screen off gestures, software accent colors, and other things that really boost user experience, helping users make the phone look and feel the way they really want it to. As for everyday usage, both phones come out and perform. They are very fast. The 3T will actually sometimes come out on top and load apps faster, while the S8 will do the same. The 3T just feels quicker and snappier. This one's a bit of a toss-up. The S8 does have the newer Snapdragon 835 processor, and this processor also helps out with the overall optimization, making 4GB of RAM the perfect amount and 6GB of RAM unnecessary, which is something the 3T happens to have. Nothing wrong with 6GB of RAM, but I haven't noticed a huge difference. Where the 3T shines in terms of speed is in the charging department. Boasting dash charge, the 3T actually charges from 0 to 100% a decent amount faster than the S8. But just like the 3T, the S8 is capable of fully charging in well under 2 hours. Battery life is also very solid on both. I usually get around 5 to 5.5 hours of screen on time with my 3T and my S8, and a little over 7 hours on my S8 Plus. And all of this was done with 85 to 90% brightness, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, and NFC enabled, a couple hours spent talking on the phone, a large handful of YouTube videos watched, and what seemed like a gazillion texts, messages, and emails sent throughout the day. It's safe to say you'll make it through the day on a single charge with both devices. Moving on to the camera, the obvious winner here is the S8's, but to be fair, the 3T's camera stands its ground and provides very solid picture and video quality, and it's definitely passable in everyday use. If you're someone who's always taking pictures, you're going to want the S8. But if you're someone who's not constantly snapping shots and just takes the occasional Instagram photo, the 3T will do just fine. Where the 3T really shines is with its 16 megapixel front-facing selfie camera. Yes, 16 megapixels, that's double the S8's upgraded 8 megapixel selfie shooter. Selfies come out looking sharper, and most would say they just look better. Probably didn't see that coming, did you? Yeah, Samsung definitely could have done better. Rounding out some more features these phones have, they both have fingerprint scanners, the S8s being in that heavily questioned area in the back, and the 3Ts in the more traditional bottom front. You probably saw this coming, but the 3T scanner is just faster, it's way more accurate, and of course it's much easier to locate. The S8 combats this with a set of biometric security options allowing you to either scan your face or your irises to be the key to unlocking your phone, and I must say they are working pretty well. Both phones also have their own dedicated switch on the left hand side, the 3Ts being a 3-way alert slider, which I do find to be useful, and the S8s being a button dedicated to Bixby, which I did not find to be all that useful. If you don't know already, Bixby is Samsung's answer to Google Now. Yeah, it's not really what I had hoped Samsung would put a lot of effort into, and I honestly forget it exists on a daily basis. So there are a lot of great things about these two phones. They perform well, they have solid battery life, great displays, great cameras, great hardware. They each have their own features that the other doesn't sport, and overall they're just killer phones. But the S8 is $310 more than the 3T, and that's just the regular S8, not the S8 Plus. And the thing you have to think about here is that because of the 3T's price, it's kind of hard to fault it for anything, besides having one of the weakest vibration motors ever. So in terms of bang for your buck, the 3T is probably the way to go. The premium price of the S8 gets you the top of the line screen, camera, processor, and of course the wow factor. It really comes down to what you need in a phone. The 3T is about getting smartphone tasks done and getting them done quickly, all without breaking the bank. And while the S8 can get stuff done too, it can definitely put some stress on that wallet. But along with it comes a treasure chest full of awesome features that are hard to overlook. For me, the S8 is the winner. Water resistance, wireless charging, that amazing jaw-dropping display, and fantastic camera just do it for me. But for others, the 3T is the better value, and to be honest, I can't blame people for that. So overall, the S8 is the better phone in pretty much every aspect. But in terms of value, well, that's a completely different animal. I'll leave that one up to you. So what do you guys think of this comparison between the S8 and the 3T? If you're in the market for a new phone and you're looking between these two, let us know which one you've decided on. But anyway, that does it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to the Android Police channel if you haven't already. That does it for me. I'll talk to you guys later, and thanks for watching.